Hello, my name is Mariana, and today this is a reading for Libra. So Libra, as usual, I'm doing this reading with my own tarot deck, so the cards that you see are from this deck. So before I start sharing your message today, Libra, I just wanted to share something else that happened before I started pulling cards for you, because I feel like your message today is deeply related with something that I watched before. And that was a documentary called Love Over Money on Gaia TV. And it tells a story about a guy called John Robbins and how he chose to walk away from a very, very large fortune that he would inherit if he chose to follow the footsteps of his father, who was a very wealthy businessman in the ice cream industry. And I had no idea who he was before this documentary. I had no idea what this ice cream company was. Apparently it was very, very big. Maybe it still is. I feel like it's not, because it was sold. But it was very, very good in the US. So maybe if you are from the US, maybe you know who he is. Maybe you know this ice cream company that I'm talking about. But the story about this documentary is how this very wealthy boy and kid sees, a very different picture that his world was selling to him. And so he decides to go about his own journey. And he creates kind of like this revolution. And in the food industry, in the health industry, in the environmental issues industry, and all of these environmental causes. And it is such a moving, beautiful, touching documentary. This guy, I had no idea who he was. He's such a beautiful soul, and the way that he chose his path is so brilliantly described. It was so emotional. And so as soon as I decided to pull cards, I had my heart so open from that movie, from that documentary, just because it was kind of like this overflowing of love coming from him, telling his story in such a raw and vulnerable and loving way, and so truthful, that I felt like it was my duty to be as open with the cards, with the message. And it's funny because I feel like there's something about your message today that feels very raw, that feels very vulnerable between you and you, Libra. I feel like you are at a certain point in your life that you have accomplished a very good life for yourself. Maybe you have achieved, many successes in terms of financial, business wise. But I do feel like you are at a point where you're just contemplating what true success means for you. What is the true value of money and resources, and what is the connection between that and security? So I feel like overall your message is very, very fresh. It feels like you are almost like in a moment of stability and even wealth, perhaps, that you're able to go back in time and gently lean back to see what you were feeling when you were a kid growing up. Maybe with financial issues, maybe that was, part of your atmosphere, part of your environment, right? Maybe there were concerns about money when you were growing up. But I feel like this reading wants to highlight the fact that you are going back there to clear your heart space, to empty out any sort of attachment, not just to money or to how you think about money. That is part of it because that's how it starts. But I feel like any sort of attachment whatsoever, it feels like you're ending here so free that you could feel like it's like you're just free to go wherever you like. And it's funny because yesterday's message was also about that, especially the extended. There was this concern for Virgo, like how do we choose when we have such freedom, maybe true freedom, for the first time, right? And I feel like that's a little bit in here for you as well, but I feel like you know what to do with this newfound freedom because you're cleansing yourself in such a big way that right now it's like it's like what hat to put on. It's like which crown to put on. It's like which it's like which clothes suit you better, or it's like what is the personality that suits you better, right? Maybe I should put it that way. Because you have this sense of detachment. Who you are is not dependent upon what you wear, what car you have, the money that you have in your bank account, what job you have. It's not like this resume, right? It's not something that you have as like a LinkedIn page, right? That describes your accomplishments. This is not who you are. But now you see it very, very clearly. And because you see it very clearly, it's like you know that you have been always in that right path. So where you are is exactly the right path that, yes, perhaps before you have mixed, or confused your own image, the self-image, your self-worth with something external to you. But now it's like you're putting these things that belong on the outside where they should be, and who you are is not defined by those things. So maybe I could just, that's your reading, Libra. If you want to, go on with your day, I am, of course, going to show you the cards, but I mean, this is the essence, this is the purity, that's the truth of your message, right? As a whole, if I had to summarize it. And I feel like this sense of detachment includes like trusting this freedom, trusting that you have the maturity to have a free life. What is, a true free life? Perhaps before you were conditioned, right, by a certain standard of success, because we're beginning with the King of Pentacles. So this King of Pentacles is like it's like what you used to associate like true value to a specific position, right? It's like being the king, being the leader, being the head of the family, being the successful one, being the accomplished professional, right? It's like you were always associating your value to a specific role, to a specific accomplishment. So you would wear the crown, and I feel like this is what brought you to this success, to this level of, wealth or prosperity or abundance that you are right now. And this is a point where it's like you start to question, what are you wearing? Like literally, what are you wearing, right? And not just physically like your clothes, because I feel like it goes to the point that it starts to be like, what am I wearing? Like literally, right? But it's also like, what are the labels that I have been using to describe myself, to tell my story, to introduce myself to others, right? So it's like, what are the material things that I have been stamping, as my crown would grow, or, I would identify myself more as the king, right? As the know-it-all, or as the accomplished one, right? Or as the one that like has earned this respect, right? This admiration, this position of power, this position of authority. So, but the more you are here, it's like the more you have accomplished, it's like the more you are starting to question, why have you associated your own self-image, your own self-worth as, having all of those things, or just like this external conditioning, right? It's like, why would you only define your success by the things that you have gained? So with this Knight of Swords, you're starting to take a step back, and it's like questioning yourself. It's like, wait a second, maybe I don't know it all. Maybe, yes, I have achieved some level of success as defined per, society, or, others. But what is my true definition of success? What is truly like just motivating me? Because I often see the Knight as having a mission. So it's like, what has been your true mission to accomplish all of these things? What has been your true motivation, your true goal? What has been like your true direction, right? Being the Knight of Swords. Interesting, because we have the Ace of Swords. In fact, apart from the three core cards and one major arcana that is here, we only have 3 aces. So I feel like this is the moment that you're leaning back, because this is how I'm seeing this. It's like you're stepping back, like literally. It's like you're stepping down from a position of, I don't want to say arrogance, but you're just accepting that perhaps you don't know it all, that there is still room for more learning, for another perspective, because it's almost like here, wearing this crown, it's like it prevents you from seeing the crown from outside. It's like if you're wearing it, it's like you cannot observe it from the outside. So you only see the attachment. You can only see what you have always seen, so you won't have another point of view. And I feel like this Knight of Swords is wanting to give you another perspective on what used to be your main motivation to accomplish and to get to where you are. It's like you're starting to go back, right? It's like you're starting to go back in time, literally, and go to the moment that you decided to move in a specific direction that has brought you to where you are. And so when you take a step back, it feels like you reach the point of that first flame, that first ignition, because we have the Ace of Wands. So there was a spark that was, this is the central card of this spread. So I feel like there was a very purposeful and a very long-term type of spark that maybe a long time ago has been ignited within you, that has, been pointing you in a specific direction to get to where you are. So, let me just say this, Libra. There is nothing to diminish where you are, or the level of success, or the means that you had to go through to achieve the success that you have right now. I do feel like everything here is just emphasizing the fact that you have been always very truthful with that first initial spark, that first motivation. It's just the fact that, so it's not questioning the validity or the how true to your heart, accomplishing these goals or having a wealthy, abundant life has brought to you. It's like you know that to be true. You knew that to be true. It's just that you're no longer wanting to associate your image just to that, right? You don't want to be recognized just as the one who has, accomplished a few things, or the one that, you know, the first thing that, you know, stands out is the crown, right? Or the position or the role or whatever it is, right? It's like you want to be known for who you are despite anything that you wear, any label that you could be identified by. So this is what you're starting to question. It's not, you know, the ability that these resources have to provide security and safety and, you know, financial support and, you know, all of the good things that money provide. But it's just the fact that you don't want your self-image and your self-worth to be defined by an external thing, right? And that to be the first thing that people look at you and label you as, or like this stereotype, right? And so I feel like the other thing that I was seeing with the Ace of Wands, it's like the moment that you step down, that you step back, that you go back in time, and that you go in search of this reason why you wanted this stability in the first place. It's like you find a tree, right? Because sometimes I see the Ace of Wands as a tree. So it's like you find a big tree, like an oak tree, like a tree that is going to embrace you somehow, that is going to provide you kind of like the perfect environment for you to really go back to that first spark. Maybe it is going back to the place where that first spark was felt, right? But it's like you're leaning back. It's like you're just reclining back on the tree trunk, and you're allowing yourself to just contemplate. And the moment that you do so, because we have here the Page of Cups, but it's upside down, and it's so fascinating because what I saw with this Page of Cups that I've never seen before, it's the same image, but it's like the reversal of this tree. So if the tree is stable because of the roots and the tree trunk, and then, you know, the tree top, the canopy can flourish, right? It's like here, it's like you go to a place where you can ground yourself, let's say, but you can ground yourself in with a very specific intention, right? The intention is to go back to that first spark, and you're analyzing. It's like yes, you are analyzing. I was just questioning whether or not that was the right proper word, but it's like you are at first analyzing from a very rational point of view, just because that is like it's almost like the instinctive direction that you would go anyways, coming from a place where you it's almost like you're taking that step back. So it's like you're literally walking the steps that you took to come to this place. So it's natural that you would go for this rational instinct first, because this is what took you to where you are. So you are tracing back the steps that you took that, you know, actually go way before that first initial spark. But you only discover that when you are here, not just taking a step back and, you know, stepping down from here, but also like allowing this tree, which feels like almost like this ancestor of sorts. It's like there is some sort of like it's like the meaning of the roots, right? It's like you go to a place where you can connect to the roots, to the tree trunk, so that when you lean back, it's like you are in this mode of self-analysis, but it's also like going beyond just the mind, right? And here is where you are really like going back to your childhood, I feel like, because this this reversed Page of Cups is showing me almost like you investigating, but with a lot of love and a lot of compassion, right? Especially because of the fire. It's like this mix between reason and love and compassion. So it's like you're going back to a moment in your childhood where things got distorted. It's almost like maybe it's like your reference of your internal value was actually being defined by an external thing. And, you know, that goes back actually to this place, not necessarily just the first spark that led you to take on this route of, you know, finding success and creating success for yourself. But it's also, it's like it's talking about you it's like you turning over something. It's like you want to reverse what has been reversed. You see what I mean? It's like you are now intentionally coming back to a moment in time where you're going to investigate what's in the hat. Because it's like wearing the crown is no longer meaningful. It's almost like, yes, you have accomplished all of these things, but what's else, right? It's like, who am I truly, despite and beyond all of these things? So when you go here, it's like you find this inner child that could have been hurt in a sense. But to be honest, Libra, I don't feel like you're going to stay here for long doing this, trauma bond type of working through your shadows and, inner child work. It doesn't feel long. It feels so brief because here we have the Fool. So you see here how the same hat of the page is now corrected. So this is you reversing the reversal, right? But it's interesting how here you were investigating the heart, right? Because it was a very vulnerable, and that's the reason why I said in the beginning that this feels like a very raw and vulnerable moment for you, because it's like you're allowing yourself to, go back to what has been put upside down inside your heart. And the moment that you take everything from it, because it feels like playing, right? It's almost like a kid that is playing again. It's like, okay, so let's see what's here. No attachment whatsoever, right? This is the interesting thing, because you end up feeling like you're empty, but empty in a good way, empty in a sense that there is no sorrow, there is no anger, there is no sadness, there is no heart feelings. It's like you're not attached, right? So it's like if here you got to a point that you were just seeing what was kept inside your heart that could have been placed upside down in a distorted position. It's like you're not feeling the victim of the situation. In fact, it feels exciting, right? Because before, it's like we see that you come to the place where you find that first spark, but if you continue going back, right? Because it's, the king, taking a step down and remembering what it feels like to have a mission, right? And still have room for growth, for learning as the knight, and then still wanting to go back even more, right? Knowing that you have these roots that are giving the security, right? Especially because this King of Pentacles is right on top of the tree, let's say. So it's like your security goes back to something that is way more ancient than what you associate typically with security, right? Let's say finances. So now you feel safe in a different way that is instigating you to take an even, further step back. So the moment that you start investigating this, it's like you're healing your heart. But I want to say this, it's not exactly in the cards, and I don't feel like it's something that is very emotional to the point that you are, left sobbing or something like that. It's like it's this very healthy, maybe even like a very quick cry, right? It's like you cry for 5 minutes, but that's enough. Because the moment that you feel like you are done playing, but playing not as in like a naive way, or like diminishing you anyway, or saying that you are, a kid again or irresponsible for doing this. Not at all. It's just like reclaiming your innocence. This is what these two cards are showing me. This is you reclaiming your innocence in such a visceral, heartfelt way that you're not going to feel like, you have been a victim of your life story or whatever happened that caused this distortion in the first place. It's like you're not here to blame, right? This is so fascinating, Libra. And I feel like this is so liberating as well, right? Because this is the freedom card, right? Talk about like felt, embodied freedom. I feel like this is not something that money can provide you, right? And so because the heart that was here distorted and that is no longer here, it's like you're putting things into perspective, into their rightful place. So you're no longer associating, right? It's like the symbol of the pentacle over the crown, or the symbol of the heart over the head of the page. It's like your self-image, your self-identity is not attached to anything that happened to you, or that you have externally conquered, or that somebody labeled you as. You're free from any sort of label. And now you're proud to wear this hat of the Fool. It's like it doesn't really matter if people are going to call you the Fool. It's like you're proudly wearing that hat for yourself. You're choosing to wear that hat, right? Because you're correcting what has been upside down. And so when you know that you're free, look at this. Not only you're not attached anymore, it's like you're free because you know where to go with the Ace of Swords, and you know the true value of money. Like, you know that your self-worth is not connected to how much money you have in your bank account, right? It's not the Ace of Pentacles that is glued to the crown that, is going to prove how much you value. It's like these things are giving you this new beginning because they are there for your benefit, right? It's like you have the clarity, the direction. And it's interesting because if you see the central row of cards, the same thing that I was saying in the beginning, it's like, that's the reason why I was emphasizing this is not to diminish or to question the truthfulness of your decision making back then, even when you had this distortion in your heart space, even when the motivation was because you needed to find security and you associated security with money, right? Or success or whatever, wealth, right? But it's like you can see here how it's like this free arrow that now you see it for what it is, has always been pointing towards your success. It's like, but your true success that now you know the true value is not how much you have or what you wear, because now you're choosing to wear nothing, right? It's almost like you choose emptiness. You choose not to have labels. You choose not to have this attachment to any sort of self-image connection to anything external to you. It's like you're proudly empty. You're proudly free, right? And so because of that, it's like you can use your money, your resources for what this is, right? It's like you're not dependent upon, having this, but if this is here and it's real and it's coming right after the Ace of Swords that has been pointing all along to your success, this is what true success feels like. And it's like, it's just, you have been in that path. It's just that now you are very gently, very softly correcting how you associate success with your self-image or not, right? And how true success is not dependent on the money that you have or the money that you don't have, right? It's almost like you're free to go in a direction, right, that is very valuable, right, for what it is, right? It's not for who you are, but for what it is and what it's offering as a real path, especially because the Two of Pentacles is at the bottom of the deck. So I feel like you're taking very mindful steps and very humble steps, even though you are already very accomplished, because you know the true value of who you are and what true success is, right? So Libra, I hope this was clear enough. I feel like you are in a place of clarity already. So I apologize for the very long message today, but I just had to be very raw and very vulnerable. And yeah, this message deserved all of this time. So I am going to pull more cards for you to see what else there is for you with all of these aces, with all of this new fresh start, this newfound freedom, and your mindful steps towards that new freedom. And also I'm going to pull from the astrological runes in the extended. So if you want to join me there, I'll be very happy to see you. You can find a link down below. If not, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.